You see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world.
This is the Wrestling Matters podcast where we stand up for professional wrestling.
Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Anthony Walker, and welcome to another installment of the Wrestling Matters podcast, episode 154. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing well with it as you are doing. Hope you guys enjoyed the wrestling this week, including Fastlane, which we'll get to later on. Right, today's show, ladies and gents, is going to go like this. I'm going to talk Raw, I'm going to talk Smackdown, NXT 205, Ring of Honor, TNA, Impact Wrestling as it's now known, and something very good went down in there. I will talk about that later, and ICW, all to come on this podcast. Also, a little heads up for Lexa Rose interview coming up starting next week, and a few promotions here and there as well. Also, Ryan Howe is coming to Wrestle Island. If you don't know who that is, or if you want to know who that is, and if you're thinking, what the fuck am I talking about? Stay tuned to this podcast. You will find out who that is as well. Give you a clue. He wasn't tough enough. But, yeah, it is what it is, ladies and gents. It is what it is. So, yeah, this show is on the Swerve Talk Network each and every week. Max Wrestling, Sunday Segway, Offshoot Radio, the S&M Show Podcast, The Golden Age, the Wrestling's Worst Podcast as well, Ruthless Aggression Era, all on there. Check them out each and every week. You will not be disappointed. Also, AJW Wrestling Matters, the Wrestling Matters channel. And be sure to check out SoundCloud as well. Radio Big World. Look them up on SoundCloud and download this for free at Wrestling Matters Podcast. Wrestling_Matters_podcast on SoundCloud. Or just look us up, like on Radio Big World. But, yeah, very interesting week this week, guys. I'll have to say. And I also got to admit, in a way, I'm not a big fan of what's took place this week. I will talk about Raw a little bit more later on. But I saw Raw this week, and it was the segment that had Roman Reigns one-on-one, or finally confronting The Undertaker. Braun Strowman calls him out, Undertaker comes out, Braun Strowman backs away, and the next minute we have this confrontation, which saw very similar to what happened with him and Triple H when he looked up to the sky, or looked up to the sign of the WrestleMania and said, let's go WrestleMania. It seems to me that WWE is still, and I repeat, still trying to force their fans to cheer for Roman Reigns. Now, you're probably thinking, what the hell am I talking about? Well, you're going to find out right now, because I'm going to tell you. When they came out, if you watch the live episode of the show, you see Roman Reigns comes out, and you can clearly hear in the background, Roman Reigns sucks chant, or you suck chant, or the chant of you suck, or Roman Reigns sucks. Even at one point, I could have swore at the Fastlane pay-per-view, which I'll talk about later on, I could have swore at the Fastlane pay-per-view there was a Let's Go Roman sucks chant as well. Well, on Raw, there was chants of Roman Reigns sucks. Guess what WWE did on the YouTube channel? You can watch that on the live episode. Check out the live episode, you clearly hear it. If you watch the YouTube version, the YouTube video, you clearly hear that it doesn't happen. And that's why WWE edited it out again. And they continue to edit it out. They continue to try and push Roman Reigns as this big babyface. And I don't know about you guys. People have their opinions. People have their agreements and disagreements and whatnot. But I'll tell you this right now. Seriously, this is worse than John Cena. It really is. I mean, people boo John Cena. People say this about John Cena. People say that about John Cena. Oh, my God. It is 10 times worse than John Cena. It really is, in my opinion, because, alright, Cena has their hates and everything like that, but I swear when people boo John Cena, WWE don't edit, they just leave it in. And the scene embraces it and all that. I can't understand, or I don't get why they continue to try and push this guy not only over as a babyface, but try and push this guy to the point where people are forced to cheer him, because that's what they're doing. And I said this before in episode 88 when he got royally screwed out with the title at Survivor Series, which led to the League of Nations and Sheamus becoming champion. They tried to do it then as well. And they continue to do it. And they're even trying to do it at WrestleMania, because for a fact he's not going to get cheered at WrestleMania's match with Undertaker. Taker's going to get cheered out the building. He'll get booed out the building. God help WWE if he wins. Roman, that is. But, it just doesn't make one iota of sense. I mean, normally wrestling logic would tell you that if you take a wrestler or you take somebody, no matter who it is, and you push them out, and you put them out, you get them out to the crowd and everything, if the crowd don't like you, no matter how much you push them as a babyface, that should be the sign of, okay, let's turn him heel. WWE don't do that. It's like one of my friends said at work, they don't give a shit. They literally don't give a shit. And I say they, it's Vince McMahon. And for all you people out there that are probably thinking I'm blaming Roman Reigns, I'm not. Because it's not Roman Reigns' fault. It's Vince McMahon's. Simple as that. Vince McMahon. Or whoever's booking him, or whoever's sorting this direction out, I think Undertaker's even mentioned he wanted to put him over at WrestleMania as well. That's a mistake, because put him over at WrestleMania, unless he's turning heel, but if you put him over as a babyface at WrestleMania, that ain't gonna work. Maybe a heel, not a babyface, but we'll have to wait and see, guys. But this whole thing of editing things out just to try and make Roman look like a babyface when clearly he is not, is driving me up the fucking wall. It's pissing me off, and I'm sick of it, quite frankly. And I don't care what anybody says out there, it's worse than John Cena. It really is. People hate John Cena, and people have their opinions about John Cena and that. But this Roman Reigns situation is 10 times worse than whatever John Cena's situation was in terms of the crowd. Seriously. It's a fucking piss take, and I'm sick of it. I just wish WWE would get it in their thick heads and just let him be, or turn him heel. It makes no sense whatsoever. And like I said, I'm getting sick and tired of it. It's driving me up the wall. It really is. I mean, I don't get it. And what scares me enough is Brock Lesnar is rumoured to win his match at WrestleMania against Goldberg, and that's what the plans are from Wrestle Talk Television, from what I've got at least, that Brock Lesnar is going to be winning the championship at WrestleMania. We may see another Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match again, and Roman Reigns may be the Universal Champion by probably the summer. I would imagine it'll be the summer, because I can't imagine him facing anything else unless WWE tries to work a deal with Brock Lesnar to defend the title. But Brock Lesnar will be Universal Champion, and I'm guessing from what I've heard, Roman Reigns would be next in line to take that title away from him, because it seems that they want to have another Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match like at WrestleMania, except this time it's for the Universal title, and except this time there'll be no Seth Rollins. God almighty. Same shit, different day with WWE, innit? Anyway, I'm going to wrap part 1 up there, guys. I could talk about that forever, but I've got a lot to talk about in the podcast. A lot of things to do in the podcast as well, so stay tuned. I will be back right after this with Fastlane review. I'm going to talk about Fastlane in the next part. And then after that, I'll talk Raw and Smackdown. Then after that, I'll talk NXT and 205. And then TNA, Ring of Honor, or Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor. And have a laugh as well, because I loved what happened in Impact Wrestling this week. And then also ICW as well. And plus any other thing that I can get into. And maybe, if I have time, I'll fit in something from Walk Culture as well. Only if I have time, though. If not, I'll definitely do it next week. But we'll have to wait and see. So stay tuned, a lot to come on this podcast, episode 154. So see you in a bit. If you enjoy the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters podcast right now on YouTube at AJW Wrestling Matters. You can also check it out on SoundCloud at Wrestling_Matters_podcast. That's /Wrestling_Matters_podcast. Also check it out on Radio Big World as well. For more information on them, you can check them out on SoundCloud and the Swerve Talk Network as well. For more each and every week of the Wrestling Matters podcast, weekly podcast that talk about the best in professional wrestling today, whether it's WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, ICW, Progress Wrestling, and the list goes on and on. Only the best in professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters, ladies and gentlemen. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. We're going to talk Fastlane in this part. Yeah, I thought I've talked about it a few times on other podcasts. I thought I'll give you my opinions, my audience, the opinions on it. It was okay. It wasn't the best pay-per-view. People have their opinions about it. I've got an opinion about it. But what you've got to understand is, guys, is this was why Smackdown is the better product, in my opinion, in WWE. But anyway, kicked off with Rich Swann, Tozawa defeating Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar. Yeah, I got to see this match. It was okay. Just a standard tag team match. And as we all know, Rich Swann and Tozawa were going to win. I predicted that as well. Then it kicked off with the pay-per-view. Samoa Joe beating the living daylights, although Sami Zayn did put up a fight, don't get me wrong, but we all knew Samoa Joe was going to beat the living daylights out of him, and he did that. And Samoa Joe got the win and proved his dominance, and sent a message to the locker room as well that he is not one to be messed with as well. So what's the future? We will see. Raw Tag Team Champions Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson retained the championships by basically outsmarting Enzo and Cass, basically, because the ending it was a great tag match, no question about it. Credit to Enzo and Cass and all that. But yeah, it ended up being Raw Tag Team Champions outsmarting the challengers to a point, because champions had the guys pinned. It was Carl who had him pinned. I believe it was Big Cass or Enzo. It was one of them. And then Luke came in, and as they will put the foot on the rope, Luke came in and wiped back off again. So yeah, that's how they retained, guys. And obviously they didn't take too kindly to that, Enzo and Big Cass, but big deal. Sasha beat Nia Jax, but this was an interesting one for me, because I actually found out this was not meant to happen, the ending. Because what was meant to happen in the ending, yes, apparently Sasha was meant to win, but the ending was Sasha rolled up, and she did that roll-up thing and got the victory. But what she was meant to do, which she didn't, was grab the rope. This is WWE's way of trying to tease Sasha Banks' heel turn. Now, what I saw then, if that's the case, that leads me to believe that either Sasha doesn't want to do this heel turn, or she forgot it, you know? That's two different ways. Obviously, you figure that out yourselves. Two matches that took place, which were bonus matches, quite frankly. Jinder Mahal and Rusev were just looking for a fight, basically, and looking to be on pay-per-view and looking for an opportunity. Well, Jinder Mahal got the best deal out of it, because he had a great match, a good match, no question about it, with Cesaro, but on a losing effort, unfortunately. I thought Sheamus was going to face Rusev after that, since it was him and Cesaro came out together, but it wasn't. So Big Show came out and beat up Rusev. Rusev showed his dominance, but we all know Big Show was going to win. And yeah, it's got to the point right now that these two don't like each other, Rusev and Jinder Mahal. So what the future holds for them two, I don't know. Cruiserweight Champion Neville retained against Jack Gallagher. It was an okay match. It was a great match. There's no question about it. Very good. Not better than the Rich Swann match, in my opinion. I thought the Rich Swann match was better, but it was a different style to Rich Swann that Neville was facing, and Neville managed to get the victory and retain, and it looks like it's going to be him and Austin Aries in WrestleMania. More on that later. But like I said, great match to both teams. Arguably, it would steal the show, I would probably think, in that one. Roman Reigns defeated Braun Strowman. This made no sense to me. It made sense in the way of Roman getting the victory. I get that. But it made no sense of him beating Braun Strowman. So now this leads me to believe if Roman beat Braun Strowman the way he did, it surely believes that Strowman's going to be winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania, which I'll be fine with, no question about that. But as we know, Roman Reigns won. You figure that out. And the Undertaker skit that was on for Raw was meant to be for Fastlane, but they hold it out for Raw. I'll get to that later. The shocking moment of the night was Bayley beating Charlotte, thanks to help from Sasha Banks. But yeah, I'm not shocked that this would happen. I would have shocked, because I was expecting Charlotte to get the belt back and have Bayley maybe win it at WrestleMania. I would have done that, but it didn't happen. And now they're going for a triple threat match, from what it seems. That's what's based off this, with Sasha, Bayley and Charlotte at WrestleMania. Hopefully Charlotte won't get her belt back, as she's put it. But the positive thing about this whole deal, if you will, is Charlotte's pay-per-view streak is now over. So no more talk about the pay-per-view streak anyway. So it's over either way. But yeah, I was a bit shocked that they went with that, but Bayley's the champion. Deal with it. And yes, Goldberg beats Kevin Owens in short time, thanks to a little bit of help from Chris Jericho, because Kevin Owens was trying to play possum and play mind games a little bit. But then the referee rang the bell, and Jericho came out and distracted him, and Owens turns around, spear, jackhammer, and Goldberg is the Universal Champion, which leads to what happened on Raw between the two, which I'll get to in the next part. But as we know right now, Goldberg one-on-one with Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Fastlane review. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. You know, it just wasn't the greatest pay-per-view ever made. But I was fine with what happened, because we all knew in the way that was going to happen. But yeah, I'll leave it there. It was okay. I'll cut to a break here, and I'll be back in part 3 with Raw and Smackdown. So stay tuned.
Wrestling fans, look no further for the most unpredictable wrestling podcast you've ever heard on the Max Wrestling Podcast, hosted by me, Dazzy Dangerously, with everybody's favourite captains, The Phoenix, The Butcher, and Mike Larkin, plus special guests, promos, and trivia.
Find out what's been going on in wrestling history as I take you down memory lane every week.
And the Butcher's Stupid Idiot of the Week gets it!
And see if you agree with me as I choose every week's segment of the week in the world of wrestling.
The Max Wrestling Podcast is available on
YouTube, Podomatic,
Mixcloud and Soundcloud.
And the Swerve Talk Network with other great shows.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Max Wrestling UK, or go to our website, maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling.
And that's the bottom line.
because we're out of time.
Yalikalikimaka. Maka.
Listen in, man.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the part 3 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and it's now time for Raw and Smackdown. Let's do it. Raw and Smackdown. I'll kick off with Raw first and get it out of the way. There wasn't really that much about Raw, in my opinion, but anyway. Kevin Owens kicked off the show, confronting US Champion Chris Jericho. Came out to the ring his first time since his babyface turn, and the match was made. It'll be Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho for the United States title at WrestleMania, and Kevin Owens vows to take the one thing Chris Jericho has, just like Chris took the one thing Kevin Owens had, which was the Universal title. Then all of that led to a match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the 4 millionth time. And a match at Battleground, man, and that was supposed to be the last time. Shows you how bad Raw is in that respect. Neville versus Rich Swann. Neville defeated Rich Swann to retain. That was based on the rematch clause for Rich Swann. And then after that, Austin Aries got into a little confrontation with him and smacked him in the face, which led to what happened on 205. Goldberg came out for an interview, first interview since his Universal Championship win, and Brock came out to confront him, surprisingly, because I had no idea he was there. I don't think anybody knew he was there, and basically did a John Cena on him. Shook his hand, lifts him up, F5. He finally gets his shot in there, you could probably say, as well, all leading to their match at WrestleMania. Raw Tag Team Champions Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson defeated Enzo Amore and Big Cass by disqualification because Cesaro and Sheamus got involved because Enzo Amore spilled some coffee on Cesaro and didn't take too kindly to it, and then the whole hell break loose. Possible triple threat match for the Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania. This was planned. I thought it was going to be a Fastlane, but obviously not. Tozawa destroys Daivari. New Day continue to face Jobbers versus the Shining Stars. Sasha Banks defeats Raw Women's Champion Bayley to make it a 3-way dance at WrestleMania. It is Sasha, Bayley, and Charlotte for the women's title. Yes, Charlotte had to get her 2 cents in as well. Triple H cuts a promo addressing the rehabilitation of Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins' vow to go to WrestleMania and face him. Samoa Joe defeated Chris Jericho via counter because he choked him out on the floor, but Jericho had the last laugh, hitting Samoa Joe with a codebreaker. Braun Strowman came out looking for a fight and looking to continue what he started really at Fastlane and looking to finish it off, but The Undertaker came out. Braun Strowman went back, and then Roman Reigns came out to confront The Undertaker, kind of like what happened with him and Triple H. They both looked at the WrestleMania sign. We all knew where that was going. Roman Reigns, Undertaker at WrestleMania, but Taker fought the first shot, choke slamming Reigns in the middle of the ring. And yes, you all heard my editing and shoot earlier on in part 1. Anyway, right, Smackdown. The better product, in my opinion. But yeah, Smackdown. Let's go to Smackdown. Tuesday nights. I don't know who was headlining it this week. Or last week, rather. Oh, yes, AJ Styles. I believe it was AJ Styles and... Yes, I believe it was AJ Styles and Randy Orton in the match. If I'm not mistaken. That was the main event match. I don't know. I've forgotten. I'll double check now. I'll probably get my answer in a second. If it would hurry up. Don't you just hate internets? Sometimes, how slow they can be and shit. Anyway, right. The results. This thing which stopped being a complete piss take. Let me see the results. I greatly appreciate it. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan put the WrestleMania WWE Championship picture in perspective. John Cena, Nikki Bella defeated James Ellsworth and Carmella, and yes, Miz and Maurice got involved. Mixed tag match. WrestleMania. Dean Ambrose called out Baron Corbin for the second straight week and got more than he bargained for and got a nice forklift on the chest. Apparently he was injured after that, and I don't think JBL didn't take too kindly to it, or anybody for that matter. Alexa Bliss hosted SmackDown Live's Women's Division Blistration. Whatever the fuck that is, I don't know, but that got out of hand when Natalya, Becky Lynch and Mickie James came out, all leading to a tag team match, and Mickie at the end turned on Alexa for getting the pinfall. Why? Because Alexa is going to be defending the SmackDown Women's Championship in a come-as-you-go Battle Royal, I would imagine, at WrestleMania. WWE's way of trying to leave the door open for Naomi, because if Naomi comes back, she'll more than likely end up winning. But anyway, that was what's happening there. And in what was an incredible main event, Randy Orton one-on-one with AJ Styles. AJ Styles becomes the loser of the match, unfortunately, and Randy Orton, just like we all expected, he's going to be facing Bray Wyatt one-on-one at WrestleMania, as I thought and as everybody else did. Wins with the pop-up RKO after Styles countered the original attempt for the RKO, because Styles was going for the phenomenal forearm. Randy was looking for the RKO, but AJ pulled on the brakes, and then AJ took the pop-up RKO and got the victory. Orton did, that is. But AJ had a go at Shane McMahon backstage on an exclusive video you can probably see on the WWE.com or the YouTube channel. Planting the seeds. AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, WrestleMania, baby. So with that being said, that is the Raw and SmackDown review, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll be back right after this. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to go into a commercial break right now. If this is on YouTube, if this gets copyrighted out, I apologise, because YouTube is that way. But I'm going to put it in either way. What you're about to listen to is a little tribute. I'm going to play the theme song of a Hall of Famer who truly deserves it and is going in the Hall of Fame. His name is Ravishing Rick Rude. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the 2017 Hall of Fame will be simply ravishing. See you after the break.
He's simply ravishing.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Part 4 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. That's right. Part 4 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far. In this part, we're going to do NXT and 205. So I'm going to quickly run through what went down on the shows. Let's start with NXT first. The NXT results are as follow. For March 8th, the NXT results are: Chaos reigned when Sanity met Ty Dillinger, Roderick Strong, and No Way Jose. Andre Almes defeat Ho Ho Lin. Ember Moon defeat Billie Kay. The Authors of Pain send a message to the Revival, probably as well as DIY. And Shinsuke Nakamura defeat TJ Perkins in Nakamura's comeback. And hopefully, with all due respect to TJ Perkins, I hope Nakamura knocked a little bit of sense into him as well. I'm not a big fan of I respect TJ Perkins. People always say I say what they want about him and everything, but I respect TJ Perkins, don't get me wrong, but it's got to the point right now, you were the Cruiserweight Champion, and now it's, what have you done now? Kind of thing for me. I do not like him at this point in time, so hopefully that could change. 205's results were: Austin Aries makes a game-changing announcement. He's on 205's roster. And he gets into a little bit of a confrontation with Neville, because the previous night on Raw, which I talked about the previous part, he smacked Neville in the mouth, basically, and made a statement. Rich Swann and Gentleman Jack Gallagher defeat Noam Dar and Daivari. Tozawa defeated Brian Kendrick. Finally, we got to see them one-on-one. I would have put that on pay-per-view myself, but anyway. Austin Aries beat Tony Nese in his comeback match and his debut on 205. So that basically covers 205 and NXT, guys. A little short part there, but I thought I'd get that in, give them their separate part. I'll be back in the next part with Impact Wrestling. Wow, 205. Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor. So that's next, plus a little things here and there about Ring of Honor as well. A new world champion. You want to know who it is? Stay tuned. I'll be back right after this.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kinny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back to Part 5, ladies and gentlemen, of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now let's talk about TNA. Highlights, moments, and what took place. I'm not going to talk about it or dwell on it too long. I will say this. Ring of Honor kicked off very well. It had a match on there, and it was main evented by the 8-man Dream Team match. There was a top prospect tournament match on there as well, headlined by the Dream Team match, which saw the Bullet Club, Adam Cole, Cody Rhodes, and the Young Bucks take on Briscoes, Bobby Fish, and Jay Lethal. Now, granted, it was all momentum going into the 15th anniversary show, which I'll talk about in a second, but we finally got to see the heel turn, and I use that term loosely, heel turn, of Frankie Kazarian joining the Bullet Club. Now, Daniels came out to hype the match with him and Adam Cole. Him and Adam get into a brawl. Daniels threatens to cut Adam Cole's hair, and then Kazarian comes out, saves the day. Daniels turns his back on him, and boom, the turn is there. He didn't do nout. Cole did the rest. And when Daniels got in his face, said, "Why are you doing this to me?" Yada, yada, yada. Turns around, gets a super kick from the Young Bucks as well. So, yeah, it was what it was, quite frankly. 6-man tag team titles were on the line. The Kingdom took on the Rebellion, I believe their name is now, and they retained. No issues there. Kingdom still the 6-man tag team titles, tag team champions rather. God help Ring of Honor if Dalton Castle and the Young Boys and them boys win the belts. God help them. But anyway, like I was saying, that was all then, this and now. Fast forward on Friday, this past Friday, was the 15th anniversary pay-per-view. Some great matches on the card, but the culmination was complete. Destiny was fulfilled, ladies and gentlemen. It was done. Christopher Daniels is now the Ring of Honor World Champion. Now, that was one thing. We kind of knew that was going to happen. At least I kind of knew that was going to happen. I didn't see this coming, though. It seems the Addiction outsmarted the Bullet Club because Kazarian turned on Adam Cole. He came in the ring, was going to hit Adam Cole. Adam Cole was going to hit Daniels with the belt, Frankie holding him. Daniels moved out the way, and then Kazarian was like, let me do it. I'll do it. The referee was down at this point, and as he was about to do it, he threw the belt out the ring, took off his shirt, the Bullet Club shirt, revealed the Destiny shirt, which was Daniels was wearing to culminate him winning the title at the pay-per-view, and basically stuck a finger in his face, in Adam Cole's face, Kazarian, and said, fuck you, Bullet Club, Addiction, baby. And then Adam Cole turns around, looks at Daniels, and Daniel puts the Bullet Club sign in his head, and then 3 BMEs makes Christopher Daniels the Ring of Honor World Champion. And you can see that. I have seen it. I've seen the match. I'm going to see the whole show and everything. Bobby Fish went one-on-one with Jay Lethal. 6-man warfare. Kevin Kelly was at ringside with Colt Cabana in the commentary position. I don't know what that was all about, but anyway. Because I thought Kevin Kelly had left Ring of Honor to go to New Japan, but anyway. It is what it is. All in all, Ring of Honor, smart business, great company, and they proved they're no dummies by putting the belt on Christopher Daniels. Fast forward to TNA. TNA was headlined. Bruce Pritchard came in, was manager of Bobby Lashley, and then El Patron made his debut, and I use that term loosely. Jeremy Boas went to the ring announce. Was asked to go to the announce booth. Apparently there's now a 3-man announce booth, although I have been told there's changes there, much to Josh Matthews' chagrin. You fucking nonce. He didn't like that and everything, and he's the now wannabe Michael Cole from what he's I don't fucking know, storyline, whatever it is, but fuck you, Josh Matthews. And then Cody Rhodes came out looking for Moose, even though Moose was in Japan at that point as well. So this beef is still going up, and yes, Cody Rhodes was carrying around the Next Gen title. Go figure, GFW. The boss is running TNA, so there you go. And it all culminated with controversy in the world title match. Yes, El Patron became the world champion after hitting Bobby Lashley with the belt and getting the victory. Yes, Bruce Pritchard wasn't completely clear about it. Neither was the officials, and it was proven after the match, and then Bruce confronted him as TNA went off air. This is on their YouTube channel, by the way. Impact Wrestling, TNA. I need to get used to getting that out of my head now. It's not TNA anymore, but I need to get used to getting that out of my head now. It's Impact Wrestling. It went off air. You've seen it on the YouTube channel. I think they wanted him to give up the belt and everything like that, and apparently he does. I don't know, but yeah. It just is what it is at the end of the day. Bruce Pritchard, brother love, I love you, you moron. Vince McMahon's former right-hand stooge anyway. But yeah, he's now a manager in TNA. Who came up with that idea? All in all, TNA was pretty good this week. And Ring of Honor was Ring of Honor. And by the way, go back to Ring of Honor. The 3-way street fight between Roppongi Vice, Young Bucks, and the Hardy Boys was insane. Need I say more? And apparently it's now the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles in this dream match between, I believe it's at Supercard of Honor, April 1st. It is now a tag team title match, I'm guessing, with the Hardys and the Young Bucks. And no doubt, if Ring of Honor is smart again, they'll probably drop the belts back to the Young Bucks, which would make sense, quite frankly. Anyway, but if the Hardys win, I ain't complaining. All in all, ladies and gentlemen, that was TNA and Ring of Honor. Hope you guys have enjoyed that, and I'll be back right after this with ICW. So stay tuned.
I got something to say from another dimension.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, you know what it's time for. ICW. That's right, ICW. And Friday Night Fight Club from Sheffield. I'm going to run down what happened to the best I can. Kelly Ray kicked it off, retaining her women's title against Lana Austin. Lana put up a good fight, standard women's match, good match, but Kelly Ray, predictable, retains. As we know, DCT went one-on-one with Lionheart. Lionheart beats DCT. DCT can't seem to get a win. Maybe it's the cause of Coach Tripp not being around. Drew Galloway promo, very strange. obviously talking about Jester and their upcoming match. Grado one-on-one with Wolfgang. Wolfgang beat Grado, again, proving too much. I don't know what Grado's become lately in ICW, but anyway. Joe Coffey wins a hard-fought match against Shah Samuels. Shah can't seem to get Kid Fight out of his head, but at Barrowmania, that'll lend. Kenny Williams wins a hard-fought match retaining the Zero G Championship against Zach Gibson. Zach is determined to get that title and become the world's number one. So we'll have to see. Jack Jester and Drew Galloway had a match. Yes, they fought. Galloway battered Jester. Literally battered him. They fought on the street as well. But all of this was just to build up for their match at Barrowmania, because I believe they're having a match at Barrowmania. Joe Henry and Trent Severin became a World Championship match, and Trent Severin retained the championship. Like Trent says, man, he's a man of his word. Anytime, anywhere, any place he goes, he wants the ICW championship on the line. No matter who he's facing, he could face Mark Dallas for all he cares. It doesn't matter to him. And Joe Coffey also made a statement saying that he will be defending that championship or cashing it in, that money, that briefcase, when the time is right. He was going to do it despite Mark Dallas. Mark Dallas talking him out of it and all that shit. But anyway, great show by ICW. If you haven't seen it, get yourself on the network, on the on-demand service. That's the only way you get to see it. Or, if you want, download the Fight app on your mobile phones, and you're lucky because you get to see it for free as well. But all in all, guys, that wraps it up for this part. This is the ICW part. I want to keep it short and sweet. I don't want this podcast to go too long, so I want to try and keep this as short and sweet as I can. More ICW next week, and I'll be back right after this with more, so stay tuned. Are you sick of professional wrestling? Do you want to speak your mind about professional wrestling? Well, if you like a wrestling podcast, why not tune in to the wrestling podcast where wrestling matters, the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Each and every week, I talk about the best in professional wrestling from WWE, TNA, ICW, Progress Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and the list goes on and on. Also, on the other occasions, I bring guests in as well to shoot the breeze about the one thing that I love, that we all love, professional wrestling. So join me each and every week for the Wrestling Matters Podcast on YouTube, AJW Wrestling Matters, the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel, SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast, and any other podcasts that matters. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to part 6 of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. How are we all doing? Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Action-packed show today. But, yeah, it is what it is. I found this that I'm going to do for this part, at least. The 50 greatest villains in sports entertainment. Now, it's gone through the photos. It's on WWE.com. I thought I'd check it out. So, there's 50 here. The Iron Sheik is number 1. I'd understand that, because this guy was a pain in the ass. He was really, really a pain in the ass. He just wasn't that liked. He won the WWE Championship off Bob Backlund due to some shady things from Backlund's manager at the time. And, yeah, I think he was the guy that paved the way for Hulk Hogan, in a way. You know, because it was Hogan, it was Backlund and Sheik, and then Sheik went on to face Hogan, even though he was supposed to give Backlund a rematch, but it didn't always pan out that way, did it? And Hulkamania was born. Next one is Bray Wyatt. Well, if you've watched Smackdown and you watch the other stuff that he's done and all that, you can understand why Bray Wyatt's in this as well. You know, I think he's had promos teaching from Jake Roberts and people like that, which is understandable, and he is a great heel. It'd be interesting to see what he's like as a babyface, and he's also the current WWE champion. Next one's DiBiase. Yes, fond memories with him, and we used to stick things down. He used to stick pound notes or dollar signs down people's throats when he finished the match and everything, and he bought the $1 million belt, all because he was supposed to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 4, but it didn't pan out that way, which has led to him being the $1 million champion. Next one is Mr. Perfect. Just perfection. No other way of putting it as well. His great matches that he's had in the past, especially my favourite one with him and Bret at SummerSlam 91, and he was the perfect heel, as they say. The other one is a manager, Bobby Heenan. the greatest manager of all time. Definitely the greatest heel manager of all time as well. I mean, you chant Weasel, he'd be like, he'd turn round in a dime. He'd turn on a dime. Like, seriously. The next one after that is Mr. McMahon. Well, if you want to know why he's considered in there, go back to his feud that he had with Austin, the McMahon-Austin feud. That all started, the Mr. McMahon character, I believe all started when he turned on Brett in 97. It just went on from there. Next one is Piper, the original villain of professional wrestling, as I called him. God almighty. Go and watch some of his... stuff with the Piper's Pit and everything. Yeah, it was what it was, guys. It was what it was. Go and watch the Piper's Pit stuff and everything like that, and you understand why this guy was a villain. And also, back around when Hogan won the title for the first time by beating the Iron Sheik, this guy was his number one villain, the number one enemy, and he was the Hulkamania's pain in the ass at the time as well. Next one is Rick Rude. Thankfully, this motherfucker's going in the Hall of Fame. Simply ravishing and arguably the greatest heel of all time. Because boy, could this guy make you hate him. He was that good. Very good. Next one is Jake Roberts. Another guy, great heel, greatest mind in the business as well. And if you want an example of his devilish ways, go watch the Superstars, or go find the Superstars segment with him and Macho Man, where Macho Man is getting bitten by a snake. That would tell you how sick this motherfucker was. But he was great on the mic, great on promos, just great in the ring. Greatest mind for the business. Next one is Raven. If you want an example of how sick Raven was, I don't think his best work was in WWE. His best work was in ECW. Go and watch his ECW run. The first one before he left for WCW. Then you would understand why. The greatest rivalry he had with Sandman, plus the rivalry he had with Tommy Dreamer as well. It will explain it all. It can't be described in words. You have to go and watch it. The next heel is Fabulous Moolah, the woman that set the tone for women's division and for women's wrestling back in the days and everything. And yeah, she was a pain in the ass, but she was definitely a great champion, no doubt. And she said, like I said, she paved the way for women's wrestling, and she was one of them that paved the way for women's wrestling, the stuff that we see today. Now, the next one after that is Rusev. I don't agree with this. There's a lot more better out there than Rusev, but Rusev is a good heel. Greatest villains? Nah. But Rusev is a good heel. He can be a good heel. He is what he is. Ric Flair is the next one. The master of the NWA, the captain of the Horsemen, the greatest, arguably the greatest heel of all time. And the first guy to win the Royal Rumble when the championship was on the line as well. So, yeah. It's indescribable, the heel work for Ric Flair, man. It's indescribable. You have to check it out yourself. And plus, he's one of the greatest talkers on the mic as well. Very funny. My shoes cost more than your house. Some of the stuff he came up with was just hilarious. The next one is Hollywood Hogan. Hollywood Hogan. Just a great heel for WCW. The man that was behind WCW getting the ratings win as well. And the leader of the NWO. And probably the biggest pain to WCW. But, the biggest success to WCW as well. One of the reasons why they got the ratings wins they did as well. And if you believe what you read in the dirt sheets as well, a bit of a douche. Outside the business too. Next one's Abdullah the Butcher, one of the sickest motherfuckers in the business. Sick in the business. This guy with a fork, this guy had some issues. He was hardcore, man. Next one is CM Punk. Greatest heels, greatest talkers on the mic, king of the pipe bombs, and, Mr. Straight Edge. What can you say about him? And boy, do I miss this guy in WWE. But it is what it is. Also, Chris Jericho was next after that. Well, you saw his work with Kevin Owens and everything like that. And he is the greatest villains of all time. There's no question about that, considering one of his rivalries with Shawn Michaels back in the day. And yeah, reigning United States champion, he is now a babyface, and he will meet Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, probably for the US title. Triple H, Cerebral Assassin, King of Kings. Some people say this guy's better than as a heel. I agree with it, but you can work as a babyface too, depends on who it is. But he's great nonetheless. The Viper, Randy Orton. Apex Predator, Viper would be the best heel for that, in my opinion. Apex Predator, Viper, Apex Predator Orton. Back when he was kicking the McMahon's heads in, and RKO and Steph, round about that time. That was the sickest villain in terms of Randy Orton, for an example for this anyway. But Orton is Orton, and if you don't believe me, ask Bray Wyatt, because Orton burned down the compound. Next one after Orton is Mr. Wonderful. Yes, another antagonist to Hulk Hogan's Hulkamania. Hogan's best mate at one point, or at least in kayfabe, he was best mates with Hogan at one point, and then that failed big time. Again, another guy who turned on Hogan, led to their matches, and just the greatest antagonist for Hulk Hogan, along with Piper. Kind of set up the way for WrestleMania 1 with that tag match as well. Anyway, next one after that is Bradshaw, good old JBL. Longest reigning champion in SmackDown's history, and a guy who would be a chicken with the belt and everything, and was what it was, guys. Just was what it was. People hated JBL, and in a way they still do, if you listen to his commentary. Next is Kane. I think Attitude Era Kane would be, when he first came in, around about the time he first came in, that would be the reason he'd be in there, because he was sick. He was going after his brother, setting people on fire. He was just insane, dude. He was just insane. And his match at No Way Out pay-per-view before WrestleMania against Vader just proves why he was a top heel. Next one is a manager, and her name is Sherry Martel. Yeah, she was sick, pain in the ass. Macho King's valet, DiBiase's valet at one point as well. Just a pain in the ass. And she was the same in WCW too. And the woman who played Peggy Sue, Honky Tonk's girlfriend, at WrestleMania 4, because she was the women's champion at the time, and WWE didn't have anything for her to do. And plus the women's division at that point was dying a slow, painful death. The next one after that is the Freebirds. This one's got Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes, the tag team Freebirds, in the early 90s of WCW, late 80s. I would say so. But people could love the Freebirds anyway, because the Freebirds were a great team, there's no question about that. Whether you're talking 3 or 2, it made no difference. Next one is the manager, and it's Jim Cornette. People hate this guy. People just love to take that racket and shove it where the sun don't shine. And people still hate this guy to this day. There's a lot of people that hate this guy to this very day, because he runs his mouth off about people. Sometimes he's honest, sometimes it's questionable as well, but at least he's honest. You can't deny that. I mean, at the end of the day, he says some questionable things, but he's also good. Speaking of good, Paul Heyman is the next one. The Beast Incarnate's advocate. That all needs to be said, and boy, as a villain, this guy can go on the mic. He antagonized Triple H to facing Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam one year, and he's always been like that, going back to his Paulie Dangerously days as well. That's why he's good. That's why he's so good at what he does. Next one after that is Mark Henry. I think his World Championship era, the one when he was putting people in the Hall of Pain. That was the reason for that. Edge. There's a case for Edge as well. Probably the greatest antagonist of all time. Rated R superstar. John Cena's greatest rival. Just, yeah. I mean, go back to what he did with John Cena when he slapped his father. And people like that. Ivan Koloff, the guy who went... No, I'd stand corrected. It wasn't Ivan Koloff. Mad Dog for Sean. All I'm saying is about this guy, you wouldn't want to mess with him. Simple as that. You wouldn't want to mess with him. Vicky Guerrero, greatest heel as a GM, I would imagine, because she was a pain in the ass. The modern day Cyrus the Virus, as I used to call her, because the excuse me chants she used to do, I swear they used to come from Cyrus. But yeah, this great manager as well, and she never needed a mic on her when she was at ringside. You could always hear her straight away. Next one after that, if this thing would hurry up and stop slowing down, next one would be Anytime Today will do, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, guys. Next one is... Why they put adverts doing this, man? You click through the pictures to see which one's what, and you get an advert. It's ridiculous. But anyway, the next one is Don Morocco, Jimmy Snuka's greatest rival. Just what he used to do and everything. I never saw much of Morocco's work as a heel, but yeah, I remember his match with Snuka in the cage at New York when Snuka dived off the cage. But yeah, a top villain, no doubt. Next one's Batista. Well, if you want a great example of that, towards the last run he had before he left and famously quit on Raw when Brett was the GM. You could even say when he came back as well, because people never gave a shit about him when he came back. They cared more about Daniel Bryan than they did him. He came back and wins the Rumble. He was a heel with me because he should never have won the Rumble in the first place. But he did. And apparently he was promised the moon by Triple H when he first came back and never got it. That's why he's not in the business no more. But he should never have won the Rumble when he first came back. Should never have won it. Next one after that is... I'm giving you an idea of who the villains are, and the next one's Jerry Lawler. Where do you go with this guy? I mean, this guy put an end to what they call it, King of the Ring ceremonial salute as well. When Brett first won King of the Ring, who ruined it? Jerry Lawler. Enough said on that one. Well, I'll do a couple more. I don't want to go over too long with this, guys. Like I said, I've got a lot to get through on the podcast as well. I don't want to go over too much with it. I'll give you one more, guys, and then I'll put the link in the description below. You can find out who the top heels were and that. I'll put it in the description below, and you can check it out for yourselves. And the next one is Kevin Sullivan. Yeah. Dungeon of Doom. What a pain in the ass this guy was. There's a case in there as well. I believe the Four Horsemen as well. Case for the Horsemen. Preferably not the Sid Vicious combo. But Horsemen, no matter what incarnation they were, when they were heels, and good ones at that. But they also made the business. There's one for Nick Bockwinkel as well. Good grief, Bockwinkel. AWA's greatest heel. No question about that. Being the champion and that. But yeah, you get the point, guys. I'll put the link in the description and you can check out the rest yourselves and everything like that. But that's an idea of who the heels and who the stars were. And yeah, I'll wrap this up there, guys. I'll be back with an outro, so see you in a bit.
Hey guys, this is Mike Larkin.
And this is Stevie Nicks.
To check out the S&M Show podcast and more great audios, check us out on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/MCLarkin92. And we are now on the Swerve Talk Network, Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. UK time, along with the Max Wrestling Podcast, Offshoot Radio, Sunday Segway, and the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And also follow us on Twitter at SMShow1 and at SteveNicksSM. You won't be disappointed. Peace.
Welcome back to the final part, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, that was part 7 of the podcast. I miscorrected there. That is my bad in the last part as well. So welcome back anyway, guys. This is an outro. Little reminder, guys, you can listen to this podcast on the Swerve Talk Network each and every week. S&M Show, Wrestling's Worst Podcast, Ruthless Aggression, Offshoot Radio, Max Wrestling, the list goes on and on. You know where to find them. Check out Kinny as well. Check out Sunday Segway TV, One Wrestling Video on YouTube. Also, guys, The Mystery Island, facebook.com/back to the island for that. If you want to go to Mystery Island and check out who's going and who's doing what there. Also, Wrestle Island. Now, Ryan Howe. Who the heck is that, you're probably wondering. It was the guy who was skid marks in TNA. Not TNA, Tough Enough. He appeared in TNA, the Gut Check, as well. But he was skid marks, Bill DeMart's pet bitch, if you will, in Tough Enough as well. And a former 2-time OVW champion. He is coming to the Mystery Island on the 26th of March. So if you're in the Liverpool area, get yourself down there as well. I've got some information here. Just the date, which is 26th of March, and Little Theatre, Garage Road, West Birkenhead. Get yourself over there. Garage Road, West Birkenhead, Little Theatre. Get there. March 26th. So, yeah. The guy who appeared in Tough Enough, Ryan Howe, is there. So, be sure to check all that out as well. Like I say, West Birkenhead, Theatre, Garage Road. Get yourself over there. March 26th. I said January 26th. But March 26th, get yourself over there. And for more information on that, facebook.com/Wrestle Island for that as well. So, like I said, be sure to check it out best you can. And we do the thing. And go and enjoy yourselves. And go and enjoy some good old... go and see what Ryan's like. Because I would imagine from what I've got, he's a 2-time OVW champion. So I would imagine he's improved since Tough Enough. So, yeah. Go and check him out. Other than that, guys, that about wraps it up for this podcast. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Next week will be hopefully part 1 of an interview. Hopefully. But if not, it'll be the normal stuff next week as well. So be sure to check all of that out. I'll be back next week, episode 155. And hopefully I'll have something new for you in terms of an intro as well. Hopefully. But until then, guys, tune in next week. SoundCloud, YouTube.com, Radio Big World, and the Swerve Talk Network. You know where it's at. Until next time, guys, peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up. Yes, 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 yes. That's 13-14. Make it till death.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Simpson.